Everybody, we're here. It's week 4. You made it. Friday brand camp. We are celebrating. DJ Jane has got the tunes on.
Yeah, we needed music. Week 4, we needed music.
Yes, we did need music. And actually that went off organically. I didn't have to try to figure out how to turn it off. Hey, this is a week of celebration. And we have kind of one clear message for today. But first, we have a question for everybody. Go ahead with the question, Chris.
We want to know right now, and we really want you to think about this. What is something you are most grateful for right now? What's one thing that you're most grateful for? Because you put it in the chat. And if you're watching this later, don't just skip over this. Let me just ask you, what is something you're most grateful for?
There's Tristan's here. He's celebrating with us. Hey, Chris, hey, thanks for a valuable week 4. Hey, good to see you both. Hey, Deb.
We're like both so in love with Deb.
Look at Sean's picture with these twins in the window. Oh my gosh, I could cry.
Yeah, Annette.
What my Wolfpack girlfriends, awesome, Annette, love it. Seymour and Christina from Barcelona in the house. I feel for the two of you. I have seen you on so many videos now, and I just love that you're showing up in the way that you are. So here's Pamela talking about spending time with her husband and her 15-year-old. Love that, Pamela. You know, we really are starting to appreciate just the small things in life that we were taking for granted. Roger, family, food, and friends. Oh, Lisa, Christmas one. That's so nice. Monica, thank you for the shout out, girl. That's Monica, who is Penny's on the line with us, and Penny and I share Monica. If I ever try to steal her all the way, Penny will come down here to London and get me.
What is the new hobby? What is this about? Time to learn a new hobby. Josh, what is the new hobby you're learning?
Josh, let us know what it is. Hey, and there's the fabulous Iron Jen, family along with safety and health of friends and family. Jen, who works on my team, Chris, is a first responder. She goes out to fires and a volunteer firefighter. So I'm so grateful that she's in my life. She's one of the things that I'm grateful for. Paul says family. Let's see, Gerald, so glad to be here with you. Oh, Alex, got 5 kids. You guys need to step up your game. I know Alex's sense of humor. I don't know exactly what that means, but
yeah, all these people only with 2. Come on.
Spend time with family. Celebrating Mother Earth and the amazing night sky. Boy, oh my gosh, have you seen pictures of LA and moving through this? It's been amazing.
Is it a lot less fog or what?
A new hobby for Josh is bear hunting. I don't know if he's a jokester. I'm thinking that's a joke. But
no. He told me, he messaged me today. He's actually been bear hunting.
Oh my gosh. That's funny. My kids in the beautiful weather. Great. Jason, thank you. Sarah, grateful for the opportunity to rest, reflect, and innovate. Deb, for the courage and love being expressed by strangers to strangers, honoring each other's humanity. Like, it has been just one, example after another of people going above and beyond. Maher is coming into us from Lebanon, opera rehearsing and family. I love that. This is a man of so many dimensions, and I'm just so excited that he's here. And he's an innovation expert, but then he also is an opera singer, I believe. So that's just like amazing. The pollution is crazy different. That is correct. The sky is bluer. The air is cleaner. So, Chris, we are celebrating week 4 of Brand Camp, and we are going to leave everybody with some ideas on how to actually get out there and market what we've been developing these 3 weeks.
Yeah, and Jane, it's one of those things where I think most people here have some type of business, sales, marketing, something background. Maybe I'm overspeaking, but I will say this is that so many of you, if we asked you put together a presentation about what's been most effective in your outbound, could give this presentation, right?
Yes.
So you'll be surprised at how simple some of the methods we're going to be sharing are today. right? And I think what's so important is the simplicity of having a goal and numbers that you're tracking, and that just the consistency every day. That's what's going to bring the real results at this time. And so it's going to be pretty simple. But the interesting thing, of course, with anything is, whether it's simple or not, are you doing it? Right.
Yeah.
So more than anything, it's a reminder today.
And speaking of simple, since this is how we roll, hubby's coming home. So I know the dog's going to go crazy. So I'm going to close my door to keep things simple inside of the dome. So I think that when people start thinking about all the stuff they need to do, that's when they tend to find reasons not to go into action. So let's just talk about what some of the things that they can do are.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's where I think we could just dive in right today and just talk through it.
Yep.
Or do you want to talk through it just in an overview and then dive in?
Your choice?
I think we should just dive in since everyone's here. I just want to really quickly, once again, and I think you and I are both in the same place, just pause and just say, it's so much fun to have all of you together in one place. I know we're all coming in from our individual rooms and computers. There's no one in this room with me, but we're all together.
Yeah.
From all over different countries, different parts of the States. And so thank you for being here. And let's just enjoy this time together.
Hey, can I do a little piece of gratitude to you?
Please.
Because when you invited me to do this with you, we've all been in kind of this roller coaster ride of COVID-19. And I was in a space where my first thought was, no, I can't do anything more. There was a lot that was going on my plate. And you have done the heavy lifting on this. And can we just give Chris a massive shout out for he's developed the bulk of the content. And basically I'm here as Sideshow Bob. I've been so happy to be on board and to be able to comment on your really, really, really solid ideas. So let's give Chris a big hoorah in the comments here, can we please? Because I'm really grateful that you asked me to do this. And Chris, I've noticed that through COVID-19, I have gone through very different kind of operational modes. One of my modes, when I see things getting really busy out there and everybody's putting stuff out, my mode is to withdraw. Whereas when you saw what was going on, what was your mode?
Yeah, well, and it's so interesting to talk about this, right? Because many of you on the line do know about trauma, right? Like we all experienced a level of trauma when COVID-19 happened and each one of our cities started getting shut down, right? And we saw the death toll and other things happening, and all bodies experience different reactions to trauma. But it was so funny because my wife just looked up at me one night. She goes, "Chris, did you know productivity is a trauma response?"
Wow.
I love that question because it wasn't like she was calling me out or anything, but my wife and I had a dream for over 10 years. From our first date, I talked with her about buying property. We've been working towards it. We signed, and then we moved in on March 7th, and our entire city got shut down like the 13th of March.
Yeah.
Right. So we had just friends move us in, and then everything stopped. And we had just taken apart our entire other house. We had boxes everywhere. And overnight, I lost 80% of my work. Right. And it's not in any bad way, but all of my clients had all of their projects go on hold, and many of the events that we were going to film just stopped. And so they weren't having the opportunity to film those. I wasn't gonna be able to do it. And I totally understood every single conversation, but it was like,
yeah.
And my response in a moment like that is to say, because I love stories so much, if you're in a great story, many of you guys experience this, right? When you're facing challenge, you're in a great story. Right. But my response was like, I got everything around. I've got boxes everywhere. I'm just going to go into go mode. And I didn't stop. I did not stop. And I couldn't stop. It was 6 weeks later before on a Sunday morning, I told myself, I've got to take a full day, do nothing. And I picked up a book to read, and I realized I forgot how to read, like not read the words, but I forgot how to sit here and just pick up a book.
You're like calm enough to concentrate on just reading a book. Oh, wow. I think that everybody on the line can probably say some version of what happened with me, which is of course, I'm very much drawn to the American news. So many of my clients are American, but I also am very much watching what's going on here in Canada. And at first, I was really glued to it, and then I realized that was not serving me well at all, and I needed to back right off. I also lost some business right out of the chute, and I have been working my way back up to, hey, wait a second. I still have value. All of the stuff I knew 3 months ago is still intact. And I've been kind of like trying to mold myself into tall poppy mode. Because when all the noise started happening out there in the market, I'm like, oh, they don't need more noise. I was like hesitant to even participate in this because I'm like, we don't need to do more stuff. But what I recognized, and some clients have told both of us, some clients that we share actually have said that when you have someone that you have trusted for a long period of time, it's that consistency,
Right.
like our every Thursday podcast and our Tuesday communication of something in the form of a blog. That consistency is what makes people calm. And that's really, I think, when we come under times of stress, our things that have been problems all along start to rear their heads a little bit. And my thing has always been not wanting to play in a really crowded space. And so I'm now going, no, I got to be the tall poppy. I'm here. I'm solid. I'm sound for you all, because a lot of people have told me, look, you have been the voice in my ear for 10 years now.
Right.
And I really appreciate that. And you're the same for people, Chris. And I think that we just have to keep producing. So it's very interesting, though, to see the differences. And today, what we want to put on paper for you is just calm action.
Yep.
And we have a hashtag called Focused Hustle. The focus part is very, very important.
Yeah. And Jane, I really appreciate you sharing that, because it just is the last shout out and we can dive into everything. But you guys, you know, Jane's podcast and her content, her weekly content, right? It's been, you know, the people you interview and the consistency that you have, it's this thing that all of us can rely on every week to download your podcast. And I think during this time, you were really smart to bring on certain people. And it's like that feeling sometimes that we all want to maybe pull back, or I don't want to put this out there because some people are going to unsubscribe. Some people are going to say no. Some people are going to have, it's going to be noise to them. But the truth is that one way or another, it's okay for all of us to say, one, I am a world changer. I'm meant to be sharing my message with the world. And in order to do that, I have to be consistent. And being out there is extremely vulnerable. And so sometimes, like Josh just shared in the comments, I've been back and forth between being really proactive and hiding underneath my desk. Like the vulnerability of putting yourself out there and having people unsubscribe, having people not really love it, having people blah, blah, blah. Like that's being in the rink, right? That's being in the arena, going through the process. And it's like, we're going to have to go back and forth between that, but we're all meant to be. Otherwise you wouldn't be here, right? Everyone on this watching and everyone who's here, we're meant to be making change in the world, and it's going to be rough. And
we need to be able to fail forward. Okay. So yes, somebody's going to say, you're going to say, hey, is now the right time? And they're going to say no.
Right.
And then you're going to move on to the next one. And so today we're going to talk about calm, consistent, focused hustle.
Cool. So
calm, consistent, focused hustle. Hashtag focused hustle. That's our hashtag, everybody.
All right, everyone. So we're going to dive in. And just so you know, as we know, we're here on this. We talked about building your brand story, then updating your website when you need to. Don't go crazy over that, but just, you know, maybe there's a couple adjustments to make with the right storyline, developing a video around it, maybe a script that you can put together when it's time. And then today, building your marketing plan. Right. And so you can always come back to this stuff. You can work on it when you need, but the key with all of this is that we want it to be simple, focused, and targeted. Right.
And for those of you who signed up for the reminders, if you've gotten an email this morning about it, we have 2 pieces of homework that came out to you this morning. But also, if you're on that list, you are going to be able to get the full brand camp experience. I have one page that I've been building every week with all of the materials in there for you. Okay, so just know that there will be a one place for all to go to get all of this, and we'll provide you with a link when that's ready.
All right. So, you know, Jane, I've been thinking a lot about waves. The reason I've been thinking about waves is because this was so fascinating for me to learn. Waves are not just water, they're energy passing through water. And what's interesting about that is to take a look at our daily energy, right? We see the waves of other people who've built their virtual video or done this, and comparison, right, is, I was talking to Pam, who I'm going to talk about later, and Pam Garamone, she does Science of Happiness and other things like that. And basically she has this quote that we all know, which is just like, comparison is the death of joy, right? But we compare ourselves constantly to this. And whatever we start now is going to crash into having a huge impact in our business later on. But the key is we've got to start it now, way out in the middle of the ocean. And when you do this first part, when wind picks up waves, it starts this energy. It doesn't look like much at first. It doesn't look like much.
Yeah.
And whatever we talk about today, whatever you're going to start, it's not going to look like or feel like much at first, but it will keep building and building into this massive wave. And it's energy passing through water. So it's just this consistent energy that you're going to put in. And so today we're going to ask you to make a few commitments, and it's not going to be commitments to us. It's not going to be like motivational. It's just going to be like, what's going to work best for you? Make a commitment and stick to it, right? Because we can make a decision and stay consistent in it to see massive new results. And here's the thing. There's certain people in the world. Jane's one of them. And if you're at all know anything about the Enneagram, they tend to be Enneagram 3s, achiever-minded. They default to hard work and consistency. Right. And it's those people that we can look to in times like this, because a lot of us, we don't really like the consistency factor. The reason is it gets kind of boring and monotonous to us. But from people like Jane and one of my coaches, Mark LeBlanc, who many of you know, I've learned that you can make a decision and you can just decide, I'm going to stick to this. And every time you feel like not doing it, you can just go back to, I made a decision and I can stick to it. And it's something as simple as reminding yourself you can make a decision and stick to it. I know this is crazy, but here's one thing. Flossing has always been a thing for me. I don't love to do it. And I know it's the same for all of us, but I decided one night, this is silly, but I know this is crazy. I'm either a person who flosses every night or I'm not.
Right.
I'm not joking. Every night I say the same damn thing over and over, even though I don't want to do it. I say over and over, I'm either a person who flosses or I'm not. Right. And every night that one sentence in my mind makes me pick up the floss. Now, those little placard things, they made it way easier than wrapping something around your teeth and crap. But I say that every night, but I do that with certain things. Like, I'm either a person who does this or I'm not. And I just make a decision. And I wasn't that way for years, but that's been a big change in my life. And I think whatever decision you make today and then during this time, keep it for 4 months, test it out, be consistent in it, and you'll be amazed at what happens.
Our team, the motto for the year for the team has been stick with the plan. Stick with the plan. Even in COVID-19, stick with the plan. And so the team and the systems are actually what keep me consistent, Chris, because I put, 25, 30 minutes into a blog post, and then it goes out to the team and then they turn it into something really brilliant. And so the podcasts, I've recorded on Mondays. I'm actually taking a break till the fall, but I've recorded on Mondays now for 2 years solid. But it took 7 years of doing what we first called them as teleclasses, which then, or into podcasts. Took 7 years before I think I decided to do it consistently. And once I decided to do it consistently, everything changed.
Yep. And some of you naturally default to this, but others don't. And we can just be reminded, because we all have our own strengths. So here's another thing. The people who aren't really consistent, like that's not their favorite thing to do, a lot of times, and if I'm really into the Enneagram. So like our 8s, they're very action oriented. And many people on this line, I'm telling you, you would rather write an email or think about something or process it for a day or a week before just picking up the phone and doing something, right? And so from other people, we can learn to be very action oriented. There's all these strengths that each of us have. From others who are a little bit more thoughtful, and your approach is to be more thoughtful to it, we can learn from you to really think through a decision before we make it rationally, right? So there's these gifts and strengths that we all have, but what we need to do is we need to keep reminding ourselves, okay, in this situation, what's going to serve me best? Because sometimes your strength works against you. And sometimes, like those who are really consistent, the side effect is that they don't do enough variety and get out there, right? So there's just ways that we all can learn from one another. The two things I want you to hear today that we can learn from one another is be consistent, right? And take action.
Yeah. And, you know, making a decision is the first step towards that. If you just decide to go and do it boldly, then the rest, I think, will fall into place. Nice.
Yeah. So first, let's talk about simple. What I'm going to tell you right now is so simple, you're going to think it's not going to work. But I'm telling you, it works. I default to this all the time. Ever since I heard this story, I actually worked with and was mentored by what I'm going to share with you in a minute, this guy for 2 years, and totally transformed my business. And that is this story about Steve Napolitan. But before that, I just want to say this, is that the energy passing through waves, I'm going to talk about energy a lot here. If our energy is to help and serve as many people as possible, and it's not just vernacular, it's not just something we're saying, but that we genuinely believe that what we've learned in our story and what we've gone through or what we've learned in our career is really going to help people, then we have to be taking action on it. And if your energy is to help and serve as many people as possible, when those phone calls go out, when those emails go out, if that's the energy you're putting into it, I promise you on an unconscious level, it will be experienced by people.
Yeah.
And that's just hustle and like try to make something happen, that energy will be felt.
Yeah. And the COVID twist as well is that you're coming from a place of service, that you're coming from first a place of concern, how are you, and then service. And I think intention is everything in what we're putting out into the world right now. I love this, Chris.
Yeah. So that's the energy we put in. And then I want to share this story. Some of you guys know Steve Napolitan. Steve Napolitan is a great guy. Again, very focused on action. He works with a lot of executive C-level people who have had a lot of success in their life, but still don't have the life they want. And so it's like, let's redefine what success is. Great guy. There's a story that it's just so important to hear. And that is that he had a phenomenal business, great coaching, speaking business. A company he had a massive impact with approached him and said, hey, you've had a massive impact on us. Whatever you make in your speaking business per year, we'll add something to it. And we're wondering, would you go for a year to Australia and help us launch this company?
Wow.
And his wife had 3 kids. They're like, this sounds like such an amazing idea, that way we just kind of get out. And so they sold all their stuff. They moved over to Australia. He's there. He's helping this company grow. And he is, because he's great at business, noticed a lot of things that were at the foundational level wrong. So he came to the leaders of the company, said, listen, before I can do any of this work that you're asking me to do, you have to understand this, and this need to be fixed, or I'm not going to be effective. And they basically said, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Now that you've shown us this, we're not ready for you. And they canceled the contract.
Oh, my goodness.
So he's in Australia. He basically got himself out of a job by being effective or telling people what's not going well. And now he moves back to the States, to San Francisco, and he's lying on an air mattress with his wife and his 3 kids on the floor of his sister's spare bedroom. Right. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever been there, but I will say this. There was this part where many of us experienced this, like your entire calendar went away this year. I had an amazing year planned. I had so many bookings. I've worked towards this for years. And like every one of my things got canceled.
Yeah.
You know, we've all been there. What Steve did is really interesting. He just started with his phone book, his cell phone book, and he started just connecting with people, 6 people at a time, 10 minutes at a time. So an hour, and he did it for 2 hours at the beginning. So 12 people, but he had 2 hours every morning, 10-minute calls each time. And he just let them know what he was really focused on and who he was helping serve. And then for the other 8 minutes, he just asked them about them, what's going on. And just his goal was to see if he could help them in any way.
Mhm.
and then just let them know what he was up to. So if they met someone or they connected with someone, that they would know, oh, I was just talking to my friend Steve and he blah, blah, blah. So here's what he did. He wrote a book later because within 6 months, I'm not joking, within 6 months, he had multiple six-figure business by doing just these 1 hour a day to six figures. I can't recommend this book enough. It's such a simple, you'll see it's just so simple. It's like very, very cheap on Amazon. You can download the Kindle version or whatever. It's one of those books where he and his friend, who is Robin Crane and Trevor Crane, they're his friends who are publishers. They just got together for a weekend. They had a conversation. They transcribed it and turned it into a book. So there's not the, there's some grammatical errors, but it's a transcription of their conversation. That's how we did this. And I've defaulted to this in any time I've ever tried to do something, is I just defaulted 10-minute conversations. And right now, because a lot of people aren't speaking and holding a lot of events, right now, one of the best ways to learn about what's going on is just to have 10-minute conversations with your clients or with anybody, right? Because you might be serving people in a different way. And what's interesting is just this process. You reach out and you send this in an email or on LinkedIn or in a text. But you say, can you do me a favor? Can you let me know? And this is, can you let me know when? It's implying that it's already going to happen. You have 10 minutes to connect.
Nice.
Right. And you can add one line of context, like I've been thinking about something, I want to share it with you, or I just finished a book. I was talking with one of my clients, Alan, who's currently living in the Netherlands. He's from the States, but he and his wife are living over there. He just wrote a book and he's connecting with people to share what he just wrote and talk about it. So you can add something, like I've been doing some articles, research or posts, and I want to know about what's going on, etc. But can you let me know when you have 10 minutes to connect? And then on a 10-minute conversation with people, you start by just reminding them you're going to keep this to 10 minutes. I know that we talked about this. If we get into something that's exciting, like I'd love to reschedule with you, but like I promise you 10 minutes, I'm going to keep it to that. And you say, I'm calling because, and these are what I think, and you could change it however you want, but I've been seeing a lot of this, or I've been hearing a lot of my clients say this.
Right.
And I wanted to let you know that in response to that, I've been doing this. So you're just letting them know what's going on and what you're responding to and how you're helping clients. And I seriously want to know how you're doing through all of this. And then for the other 8 minutes, you just listen to them and you just see if you can help with anything going on.
So simple. So simple. And you can definitely COVID that up, Chris. I've noticed that your industry is in distress because of da 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 da.
Yeah.
I watch the news and this is what I see. Is that your experience? I think that you can make it okay for your client to say, actually, we're doing pretty good and da 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 da. But I think the conversation could go in any direction. And when you are there and open to listening, great.
See, and I feel like a lot of us are afraid to pick up the phone because it feels like we're selling, right? And a lot of people have a lot going on. And also it's like, it's safer to just keep to the email, keep to the whatever. But here's the power of this. We're never going to make a connection with someone as strongly as we can in person. We all know that, right? We just know that.
Even on Zoom would be a nice way. I find that the level of connection on the phone is like this percentage, but then Zoom takes it up another notch because when you're eyeball to eyeball with someone, you bond at a different level. And then face to face would be probably the ideal, right? So we can go up.
And I guess what I mean is just that it not through just reading words, some type of conversation.
Exactly. Great.
Yeah. And so it's amazing because here's the other part of this story. You'll be so blown away by this. One of the things that Steve was doing, he was talking to a coach at the time, is that the coach told him to call his mom. And he's like, okay, but I'm not calling my mom. And he's like, call your mom. He's like, you have to understand, my clientele is a senior level executive on a marketing team who has at least, a $10 to $50 million marketing budget. And he's like, yeah, call your mom. He's like, my mom does not know anyone like that. And he's like, are you gonna be coachable or not? Because if you're not gonna be coachable, just hang up the phone. So he's like, fine, I'll call my mom. So he called his mom and he's like, Mom, this is what I'm up to. Do you know anyone who has this marketing budget? And she told him 2 people that she knew who did, because she knew him in high school. And then she followed up with him later and she said, actually, there's one other person. And he literally is like talking to a regional director of Sony, and he's got 30-minute conversation. The guy goes, I don't even know why we're having this conversation. I knew your mom in high school. I really liked her. I've stayed in touch with her or whatever. And I don't know why we're having this conversation, but you got 30 minutes, go. And it ended up being, I think, $150,000 contract. And his mom knew the person. So this is the issue. It's like, we're just assume we know other people's lives and what they do or don't know, but we never know who people are talking to. And right now, instead of automating stuff, instead of building a huge launch, instead of doing whatever, I'm telling you, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, if you decide to spend an hour a day just having conversations with people, 10-minute conversations with 6 people, remember the wave. You're going to build this little wake that's going to build and build and build and build. You know, Mark LeBlanc, who's coached me for years, he has done for many years 3 storm starter calls every day, is what he calls them. Every day he calls 3 people, Saturday and Sunday included. And he's done it for so many years, and he never is not 100% full. You can't find a time where he's like, oh, I wish I had more clients. It's like he's always, always full. But it's that consistency over time. And if we're not getting out there talking with people, sharing what we're up to because of what we've heard and seen, and then connecting with them, no cool marketing automation that is done with 1 million people is going to compare to just straight connections done every day.
All right. I love it. I love it. We have a little mantra at our live events: pick up the phone, pick up the phone, pick up the phone. So that can be your mantra here as well. And let's just get off the mark and go and do it. Focus, calm, action.
Yeah. And then, of course, you want to have a path, right? You do want to say, if from a 10-minute connection call, if someone's like, oh, I'm really interested in that, like maybe it leads to a discovery call. I don't know what your next path is, but probably something like a discovery call. And then, and if they're serious, it's usually a strategy call of some kind. Even if it's an engagement where you're talking about speaking opportunity, you need to learn about what they're going through, right? Which leads to the speaking or coaching and consulting offer. Right. There has to be a path where if someone says, well, I'm really interested, you know, can we talk a little bit longer? Well, okay, why don't we schedule a 30-minute conversation where we can learn a little bit more? Right. And from that, you're just trying to learn, is this a really good fit for what I do? Do they maybe have the budget for what I do? And if they possibly do, then it's moving on to a strategy call. You do need to have a path for people. And you can figure it out along the way, but it's a lot more helpful if you create your path now.
Absolutely.
But the key is just start, right?
Absolutely.
So here's the other thing is, I just want to give you a template for if you do put together a new video or you have a new offer of some kind, what do you do with that? Well, there is an effective email structure. And the effective email structure is essentially 4 sentences. And we've tested this over time. And there's a lot of psychology based to it. Number 1 sentence is about them and what they value. So when we train development people who are literally promoting speakers all the time, the first thing we always have them say on their first sentence is, your event came on our radar because of its focus on. And it's what they're valuing. It's, you know, because of its focus on leadership, or because it's focused on this year. It's like what you care about. That's why we're reaching out. Right. Sentence number 2, why you're perfect for what they value. You know, this is your distinction. And this is what we talked about in your brand story on call 1 or episode 1, is you do have a distinction for what you're known for, and you want to be offering that value. So based on what they're offering, that's exactly what I do. Right. Sentence 3, a video link to prove it. And then the final, there's an actual call to action where can we do something to see if. Because it might not be a good fit, but it keeps it simple. And the key is that there's proof. So it's about them. It's why you're perfect for what they care about. There's a proof to that. And then there's a actual call to action. And so, for example, something might be right now, you know, you're on my mind this week because maybe a personal connection point with someone you have a contact with. Based on what we've heard over the past month, we've designed this to help. Right. And so it's like, we've been listening to you in your industry or whatever. And we've designed what to help you. If you watch this video, you'll see the impact of the experience, right? Or you'll see something if you watch this video. So then they click on it. And then can we connect for a phone call this week to see if this would be a good fit for your team?
Great.
Keywords there is if, and can we connect this week to see it? So it's like, there's a specific question that you're asking. And the mind does it feels obligated to answer direct questions. And so Jane, you did promote speakers for years. You've done this for many years. What are your thoughts as you hear this?
It's so simple. And I'm thinking about actually Kendra Hall. One of the things that she did to begin her business, maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, was she sent out 600 emails. And her first round went to American Marketing Association because she's a storytelling speaker. She thought that that was a good fit for her. And so she had this very simple email, very much in line with what your layout is. I think I'm a good fit for this, and let me tell you why. And then she'd go on and talk about her distinction, very short and sweet, video, and then connection point. So she went out and basically with the 600 emails, that was the launch of her business. She went and played all the dates and then came back and realized her funnel was empty. So she realized she had to keep that going on a consistent basis. So she did another 600, but then she just got into the habit of having it all. And all of those, so it started out with American Marketing Association, but all of the people that were in her audiences led her into her now Fortune 100 business. So I know we're going to talk about focus here, but I think that the letter is bang on. It's got exactly what we need into it. And I used to pick up the phone 40 times a day. This was back when I was working with Vince Pacenti, and our goal was to get 80 engagements a year. And so we pick up the phone 40 times. That's a lot to ask for somebody in today's world, I feel, Chris. And so I like that you're just keeping it really, really simple.
Yeah, we are going to talk about that in just a minute. It is about the numbers, right? So here's the quick focus thing. And Jen, I want to tell you a quick story. I was trying to debate whether I should leave this in here, but I do want to share it because I think stories like this are really helpful. And I think many of you have these kinds of stories. In February last year, I was coming back from the National Speaker Association's Winter Conference. And I've always heard about, many of you read the book, but I just had never picked it up, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Right? In chapter 2, he essentially says, it's important to at least make a decision about what you want, and then write that down, and then spend time writing what you're willing to do to accomplish it.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, okay, I have this goal for what I want to do financially this year. I've never hit this mark, but I wrote it down, and then I spent time writing out what I was willing to do. I'd be disciplined and dedicated in my work each year, what I would do on a weekly basis, et cetera, over the course of the year. Right. And what's interesting is that it created this very focused approach, but I knew the number in the back of my head. I didn't look every month, am I hitting that? I forgot that part. Intentionally, I just focused on what I said I'd be committed to.
Right.
And what's so interesting is that when I looked at my numbers for the year, I thought I missed the mark. I thought I fell a little short. I was talking to my director of operations who was turning in our stuff for our taxes, and she said, "This is the number I have for you." And it was different. It was the exact number that I wrote down plus 54 cents. And when she showed me the number and I found out that I had made the exact amount that I wrote down in February for the year, I just was sort of like, huh.
I love going back and filtering through old things and goals that we've set out. It's so amazing, isn't it? You could just go check. Oh yeah, I did that. Oh, I forgot I even wanted to do that, and I did it. It's amazing. Yeah,
and so the key is this time. I think what my question has been for my mind is just always been saying, how can I absolutely use this time to transform and become so much stronger? Not right. Not that's all good, Kara. Not how can I survive this? What am I going to do to make it through this? Right? Yeah. How can I transform what I do to become so much stronger and better in the way that I serve clients during this time? Yeah. And that question has created so much. And one of the things that I've told our team is I like to make team goals, and I like to include the team in here's how much our company is going to make this year, and this is our goal. And every Monday meeting, I bring it up again and where we are in terms of what our goal has been. I have told the team, we're keeping the goal.
Yeah.
I'm not saying because this happened and we lost 80% of our work, which we did because we did a listening tour, because we asked clients what they need, and because we've been just offering tremendous service. And a lot of them have just been totally free calls and just learning what people need. We did bring that 80% that we lost back up to the full amount of what our standard, what we need to be and consistent.
That's great.
And so I will say this is that, like, I've been asking, how can we thrive and absolutely transform during this time? And I don't want to keep using the word I want this to be about each of you, but
yeah,
just again, it's just a reminder for all of us that instead of whatever questions we ask our mind, our brains have to answer. And if we ask our brains bad questions, like, how can I make it through? Then you're asking your brain to say, well, maybe I could do this, this, and this. But if you're asking your brain, how can I become stronger and better during this time? Different ballgame.
I heard early on, I don't know if I've shared it on this particular group or not, but instead of how can I go through this, how can I grow through this? And I really like your term transform, but I'm going to offer that one up as well.
Cool,
How can I grow through this? Love it. Chris, we're about 20 minutes out. So
yeah, and I think we're right on track. So
okay, good.
So some of the steps: be clear about your specific goal that you want to hit this year still, despite everything. Be clear on your weekly outbound numbers, and then let go of how it will happen. Let go of the how. You'll be surprised at what happens. Let go of the how, but just be clear on what you're trying to achieve this year, and then set your weekly numbers. So in order to set your weekly numbers, we want to share some tools with you,
This
right?
So you guys,
the first thing that you have in your as a link, right, is this something called, it's a tool that we use called the Video Narrative Revenue Calculator. And this is what we go through with each of our clients when we start, and it's all available to you. But essentially you put in what you did last year or where you've been. So say you were at 20 engagements last year, and say your low fee, just like, let's just keep it sort of like low fee was 5,000, high fee was 10,000, not 1,000, 10,000. What's going to come up is just an average of what you probably did and maybe your annual income for that year as an estimate. And you can tweak these numbers to make it be clear what it was. Then you say, okay, this next year, here's what I want to do. I want to hit 24 this year, and I'm fine with my baseline still being 5,000, but I want my, higher fee to be 12.5 this year because I've grown, I've invested in a new video, I've done something else, whatever. So instantly it'll just show you what your annual income growth will be, what percentage that will be and change, and it'll just show you your growth for the year. But the most important part is this: it will tell you if you want to hit 24 keynotes, and we've tested these numbers for years, you need to have 600 outreaches for the year of good fit prospects. Now, does that mean I only have to send 600 emails for the year? No, you have to have 600 that are good fit, meaning that they are a company or a group or person who can pay your fee, or they have an event, or they'll be a good fit client, right? And what that means is you need to generate 50 a month and 12 per week. Now, why this is so empowering is this: if you set your success, not in a what will I make this week, but in did I hit my number? Am I the wave way out in the sea who's building up momentum where this is going to crash? And I might make a lot of the money later on this year. Maybe I'm not making as much as I want right now, but I'm going to stay super consistent because as a wave starts with the wind, it doesn't look like a wave yet, right?
Love it. Love it.
And Jane, I'm going to start a fresh sheet, but every week on here's a fresh sheet. I study graphology, so I know the power of handwriting. So I like to do handwriting, but my sheet has these top these 5 marks right here.
Beautiful.
I have just learned over time that for me, it takes 5 conversations, intro conversations a week if I'm going to hit my goals for the year. And it looks different for everyone. If you're booking engagements, it's much higher. Okay. It's higher than just, but I will say this: I never let a week go by if I haven't hit those 5 conversations.
Really good.
Have you sent out 12 great emails for good fit prospects this week if you want to hit 24? So just put your number in, it'll tell you the mark, and then set your success for the week about whether or not you actually did. And it's not just 12 emails, it's did 12 people who I know have the revenue for me, who I know there's an event. So it might be 30 to 40 emails that you sent out, but it's I know at least 12 of those were there. Set your numbers and make that your success. And then what's great is that Jane shared with all of you her process for, this, which is the monthly sales sprint. So Jane, can you talk about this?
Yeah, we've got a couple of tools here. Oh, actually, Jen, I thank you for getting the right one there. Jen and I are sharing them on each of the streams so that you have this sales sprint is basically taking that number that you put in on how many connections you need to make, and it just helps you track it. So if it's going to be outreach of email, you can set your weekly goal, 12. And then you can write in how many you do each day. And it just is a very simplified way of tracking your actual progress. So we've got these in the chat. I put them at the very top of the whole stream on both of the Facebook pages. So look at the very, very top if you can't see them in the chat box. And then we'll also send them out to you on email. So we're going to break down calls. We're going to break down emails. We're going to break down LinkedIn reach outs. You can look at everything that you're doing and really track it. And I think at the end of the week, you're going to feel pretty darn satisfied with what you've accomplished. And again, doesn't have to be these massive numbers, Chris. I mean, you wrote I love your tool for saying, here's my goal. Because some people will put 120 as their goal and then they'll realize, oh, yikes, that's going to be a heck of a lot of work. And they might actually back it up based on that.
Yeah, and that's why we use the tool, because in any project we do, we base success on actual revenue brought in, not on whether the video was good or the website's good or anything like that. So clients always tell us, I want to hit 60 this year. And we go, okay, cool. Do you have the ability, the time, or the staff to be able to hit this number every week, week in and week out? And they're like, no. And I'm like, great. I promise you 60 is coming, but let's focus on 35 this year. Then next year, 45. And I promise as you speak more and more, you're going to generate these higher and higher engagements. And every time that those good fit clients, every time you speak, you're generating good fit prospects, because you're going to have a lot of people who want to follow up or you can follow up with. And so there's a process to it, but you have to be realistic about your numbers.
You said something there about what really looking at, and we talked about this at the top of the call, about this busy, almost manic kind of out there, just producing and producing and producing. I want you all to really recognize what is paying off. Where is the revenue? When you're talking to someone and they say, oh my gosh, I've had my busiest month ever, I think a great follow-up question might be, oh, great. Has that translated into some good revenue then for you this month? I mean, I really do think that that's a great question to be asking ourselves and those of us who we're seeing and they're out there kind of doing all this busy work. So
that's such a good reminder.
Revenue.
It's such a good reminder, because we can sometimes feel great about the amount of conversations we're having and the amount of, as long as it's in line with your goal, then that's good. But also, is it actually producing real results, right?
Nice.
So, all right. So here's the to-do. What I'm saying is, for this slide is essentially like, I know that everybody's got all of these things on their to-do plate every day. It's like all this stuff, right? And it gets kind of anxious because you have a little coffee in the morning, you look at everything you want to do, and it's like, what do I do first? What am I going to do first? And the key is this, I just want to say this, hit your daily numbers first. It makes you feel so good.
So good.
If you just say, all of the stuff I'm going to do this week, I will do it sometime today. But first, every day, I know my numbers. I'm going to hit my daily numbers first. And remember, this is not salespeople where it's like, hit your numbers. Numbers are the thing. Pick up the phone. It's like, I have a desire to serve. And the more people that are hearing about this message, the more people that I connect with, the more impact I'm going to have in the world. That's why I want to hit my daily numbers first. It's all about the energy you put in. Then do the next highest value activity. And I know we all know this, but it's a reminder always, whenever I have a little bit of a moment to be able to say, what do I do next? And I have 25 things I'm supposed to do and 40 emails I'm supposed to reply to, I always just ask, have I done at least the next conversation starter, right? And I know that because I'm tracking the numbers. So let's remember this. This is so important. I was talking to Pam Garamone, who is a happiness expert yesterday, She reminded me something we all know, 70% of our daily thoughts tend to be negative.
Mm.
And why is that? Because we all know we evolved from previously, we had to worry constantly about death. Is there something going to get me? Will I fall off something? Should I eat that, etc.? And that part of our brain hasn't fully ever come up to what we know is possible, which is that we don't have to feel like death anymore, but we still tend to think negative thoughts throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
The number one happiness booster for anyone, even if you're an introvert, I know it's crazy, but it's social connection. It's doing something for someone will make you feel great. And that's true even if you're an introvert, because sometimes that energy goes out of you, but at the same time, when you see the impact of your work and someone does send an email and say, thank you so much, that message that you wrote or that email that you just sent out, it really helped me. Number one happiness booster is social connection, right? And let's just remember these things, because Pam Garamone, she's a great person. If you go to her website, she's got all these happiness tools. It's just fun if you just need a booster, right? That I just wanted to kind of throw a shout out to that is that I talked with her yesterday and I just left the meeting feeling so much happier. And it's just a reminder to say that we tend to be negative. It's defaults is what our brain does. And you can actually behave your way into feeling happy.
Yep.
And part of it is that gratitude. Why we started this call today about gratitude is if you write down things that you're super thankful for, mm-hmm. and if every night with your family, you ask people around the table, what was something you're most thankful for today? Whatever, it starts spreading this joy and you actually behave your way into feeling happy.
This is me thinking my way into it. You know how I talked about the noise thing? A lot of people need me and need to hear from me. That's my mantra. It's right in front of my eyeballs every day right now because of my recognition of the maybe path to retreating may be my default position. So I'm working my way out of my default position into this.
I love it. I think it's so important. And again, it's just behavior way. That's why the numbers are so good. It's like, I don't feel like this. I'm still going to hit them. And then you know what? You'll find yourself, excuse me, right here, getting into a call and you had such a fun time in that call. You make the next one. You had a great time. You make another one. It's like, whoa, this day is great. 20 minutes ago, you felt terrible. You didn't even want to move.
It's
right?
funny how one call with one person can change everything. One good client conversation can make you feel like, oh, there is hope. There is a light at the end of this COVID tunnel. It's
totally
how one little thing can really change your perspective. I love this. Behave your way into feeling happy.
Yep. Then finally targeted. So Jane, when we talk about targeted, you were saying these two tips. Could you tell everyone about what you mean by warm clients first and target maybe just 2 to 3 industries?
We kind of have a graphic of this inside our Wealthy Speakers School, but we really start with a picture like a bullseye. You know, the bullseye in the middle are going to be the people who already know, like, and trust you. That's who we want to get to first. And I actually think that our past clients is some people spend a lot of time thinking about new markets, new clients, when in fact they could go back and really pick the low-hanging fruit with their past clients. And in this situation, you're just reaching out and you're saying, hey, how's it going? I bet this is a really hard time for you right now. Can we have a chat? And I think that's they have appreciated it. Many of our clients are doing it, and they're getting terrific results. So we start warm, and then the next ring out is going to be target audience number 1. And what we like to do, rather than just trying to throw a whole bunch of spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, we try to pick 1, 2, or 3 target industries. Maybe your past, you have loved real estate people, real estate brokers, or real estate agents, wherever your people are, the people that know you and love you and trust you, and the people that you love speaking for, those are the targets that you want to choose from. So choose 1, 2, or 3 target industries, and then do your outbound to that, rather than being all over the place. And we have lots of clients in common, and really trying to figure out who is in need right now of the people who you already know that you like and like you. I think that is a great place to start.
Absolutely. And it gives you that boost, you know? It gives you that boost because you have that trust with them. So even if they worked with you a couple months ago and you're just reaching out with that 10-minute conversation, it's just so much better because you're starting with what's working, what's not, what have you seen since, and you'd be amazed at how much is starting the process for you. So I love this advice, Jane. And here's what I will say is that, yes, we do need to have a combination. This is the part where you don't get overwhelmed by this, but just remember, there is the daily outbound calls or emails. We do those first. And after you do them, you feel great because you know you accomplished something that's high value. And then, yes, you do need consistent weekly high value content that you're putting out there. Consistent. Like Jane said, it took 7 years, but then they started being really consistent with the podcast. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff came in.
Yeah.
I have a client say he's been having like, maybe 500 to 1,000 people view stuff on LinkedIn, but he's been doing it for so long. And then overnight, it was like 25,000 people viewing. It's like, when did that happen? It happened because you're consistent over and over and over. And then all of a sudden, then it just gets blown up, right? And then serving clients, delivering engagements, working on your craft, like all that stuff is so important. We have to combine these things. Yeah. But we get overwhelmed because it's like, there's so much I want to do. I got to update the website. I've got to reach out to that person. I've got to do this stuff. It's like, start by just doing an hour a day of outbound and connecting with people and create the energy, make it fun, do something where you put on the right kind of music or you do something. And I don't care if we feel like it, behave your way into feeling great, because when you're done, you feel great, right? So a final thing to just say is choose your method for consistent high value content, right? And then here's the key: tell stories as you promote this, right? And make it episodic. What I mean by this is that Netflix has turned us all into people who are ready to click on the next. Yeah. When Netflix launches something, they don't launch something and say next week you can watch it. They launch the entire season at the same time, so you can just sort of binge watch it. That's the thing they changed about all of us, is that if you noticed with us, we told everyone from the beginning there's going to be 4 episodes. This will be on this week. This will be on this week. And every time we started and finished, we said what will come next week is this. What will happen last week? We talked about this. Now we're talking about this. Make everything you do episodic. And a client that we both know, Andrew Bush, that you have on the email, something he's been doing is telling people about how to prepare for the opening of the economy. But I told him yesterday, we were talking on the phone, he was like, that's awesome. I was like, what if you basically told everyone the government plans to open it on this date? I'm going to be doing a series of videos where every day I post, or every video I post, updates on what you can expect next, and I review what's going on. And he's making it episodic now, which makes you want to tune in more than just these singular videos about the opening of the.
Very good. Yeah.
Right?
Andy, I call him the great calmer downer because he's my economist, and he talks about it from kind of the numbers and what are the markets doing and what are the various industries doing. And I love that you steered him into an episodic, because I follow him and I am craving something like that. So I think that's a brilliant idea, Chris.
Cool. And so, yeah, what matters most to YouTube and every social media company, of course, is how long someone stays on. People stay on more and they watch more of your videos, even if there's a past thing. If there's a beginning, last time I talked about this, and and they miss that, they'll go back to watch that after it. That's why people stay on longer, and that's what people care about. One little case study, just something I was connecting with a person on this week, Trisha Brooks, someone who's amazing, and she has this thing called Big Talk Academy. It's normally $3,000, but she just gave away 50 scholarships, right? But what she's doing with this is that she's going to help those 50 individuals be highly successful, and as she does, she's going to tell the stories on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
And this is one part of her 80-week-day posting strategy, meaning that once a day, five days a week, just Monday through Friday for the next 4 months. And this is an actual algorithm in YouTube that if you do 4 months worth, they start promoting your video a lot more. It's just crazy. It happens overnight. But she's telling these stories. She's making episodic. So many of you are giving certain services away for free. And I think it's a great idea. I think it's a good idea, too, for your assignment. Is there one service you can give away and turn into a story? Meaning, is there one way you can serve a client right now and create or do something that you would normally charge a lot for, right? And just say, I want to give one scholarship or one gift of way that I can serve a company or a group right now, and then turn that into a story. and then share that story as your weekly content. Let people know how it's going. This week, I did this. Stay tuned. In the coming weeks, I'm going to be sharing in real time through my emails what's going on with this company and what kind of success they're having as a result of our work. Then you're more socially obligated, right? I'm going to just stay on this. You're more socially obligated to prove what you can do, and people will stay tuned in. And then finally, make a decision about your consistent daily benchmarks and then stick to them for at least the next 4 months to see what will happen. That's your assignment. That's the end of our brand camp.
Oh my goodness, Chris, I am just so excited that we have delivered this content. We've gotten some amazing comments in the chat box here. Tell everybody if they would like to start and just kind of check in with you on a phone call to see whether or not there's some work to do. What's the first step?
Yeah, I mean, truly just reach out through our website or chris@videonarrative.com.
Okay.
The first thing I always do, and I think it's the same as many of you guys do, is I just want to find out, what is someone trying to achieve, and is there any way that I can help make it happen, right? And it's so important to just reach out, connect. And same with Jane, there's so much of years and years and years of knowledge that you can sometimes, right, Jane, in the first 30, 40 minutes of a person, help them see so much. What's the best way to reach out to you?
Well, we have a 15-minute call that I would love to do with anybody to see, where in my world they might fit. I was thinking that this group was high level, and there might be some people on the line who are a really amazing fit for our Wealthy Speaker School. And we've got some really amazing deals on at the school right now. $199 can get you in the door. So I would love to talk to people and just kind of direct them towards whichever one we think is a great fit.
Cool.
But really, I think our bottom line on today's conversation was, let's take some action. Let's pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. And you know what? We're also celebrating. We made it through brand camp. Woohoo! Let us know in the comments, you guys. We're going to stay on. Can you stay on just for 2 more minutes, Chris?
Yeah, plenty of time.
I would love to hear one thing that you are going to do as a result of what you have learned in brand camp. And y'all can dance along with us to celebrate here. One thing that you're going to do differently. While those are posting, let's see. Thank you, Ava. I'm so glad that you've been here with us.
Yeah, it's great to see you, Ava.
Roger,
thanks for all your engagement.
Thank you so much, Roger, for being here with us and providing some comic relief at times. I've appreciated you. Let's see. Oh, hang on. Thank you, Christine. Jenny, I'm trying to get to you here. This has been amazing. Thank you for your tactics and your information. Thank you. Here we go. Angela's going to send her first message to her key target audience today. Yeah, Chris, isn't that what you wanted to hear?
And Angela, remember, it's all about the follow-up. If you don't hear back from them, that's probably going to be reality. Follow up 2 to 3 more times after to ask them if they were able to read your message.
Love it. Roger's going to be consistent, picking his 12 people. Babette really liked the episodic idea.
Yeah, that's the key.
Jenny, make calls and reach out. Mar's going to work on his website. I'm so excited to have him coming into the school all the way from Lebanon. I think that'll be amazing, and we can offer you up a lot of good stuff. Michelle is going to plan a mini retreat and rewatch these videos and take action.
I love it, Michelle.
Somebody said a brand camp and chill. Instead of Netflix and chill. I love it. So this one time at brand camp, Chris, I love that idea. Provide a free workshop, says Paul. Deb's going to pick up the phone. This woman is so well connected. Her index is like the who's who of Fortune 100 companies. Deb, I'm excited you're going to do that. Dawn, I'm going to update her website, make connection with my first priority daily. I think that order is exactly right, Chris. You've got to do those things first, don't you think?
It's so much easier to kind of like a little bit let ourselves hide a little bit and write and think first. But what happens is we get on email or we get on Facebook, we get on different things and we start comparing ourselves. I don't know how else to say it. You just start seeing other people's work, and then going back to yours doesn't feel as empowering. It's like, get connected with people first, feel great, and then the rest of the day can fall away, but you've hit at least your consistent mark.
Great. I love that, Christine. Thank you, Jane and Chris. From Jason, working on further defining my marketing and brand message. Dave, one of my many takeaways, have the path to get ready to go after the series of 10-minute calls.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. Is once you have a path, I'm telling you, the universe wants you to have a path. It'll literally start lining people up as soon as it knows that they can trust you with what you're going to take people through once you have that.
Yeah. Shola is going to revamp website, streamline key message, and going back to episode 2. Really well done. Thank you, guys.
Shola, I love you, man.
Most appreciated. There we go. Truly brand new to the speaking arena, Jennifer. In overwhelm right now, I need to review all of the weeks to figure out how and where to start. Jennifer, if you would reach out to me, jane@speakerlauncher.com, I have an option for you. We have come in at this, and we didn't say it enough or at all, I don't think, Chris. This is for the
senior level
to seasoned speaker.
Yeah.
And we've got some more more options for you that are much more an emerging speaker level. So please reach out to me, Jennifer. I'd love.
It's just really important to remember where we all are, right? It's hard to be like, sometimes the stuff's overwhelming. We did kind of place this at a 301 or 401 class, right? It's like, we assumed you had a lot of stuff built, and so you were refining it or structuring it. So just for those of you who are watching, aren't responding, and you're just kind of like, whoa, this was overwhelming. 1, Jane will let everybody have all the episodes again. You can watch them through slowly.
Yes.
But 2, Jane is masterful at helping people launch, get off the ground, start. So the number one thing we don't have to worry about, like, I'm serious, we don't have to worry about finances right now. What we have to worry about is, do I have the right support and people that can help me get through this? Mm-hmm. And Jane is one of those people, I can't recommend her enough, that is like the perfect team partner to help you get through start.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And a quick 15, 20-minute call is all that requires. Thank you so much for posting that, Jen. And thank you all for staying with us. We're 7 minutes late. So Chris, we better go and say thank you all for being here with us at Friday Brand Camp. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.